Magic TV, my name's Craig. It is 9 o'clock on a Sunday. Hope you've had a good week. And it means it's time for a review show special. This is where I take a deep dive into a particular company, a particular creator, and I have a look at their entire range. And today I'm going to be doing my second review show special on SankeyMagic.com. The thing with Jay Sankey is that he brings out so many tricks. I could probably do a review show special every couple of weeks on him. I have to kind of wait. I don't want this to be the Jay Sankey tribute show, but he does bring a lot of stuff out that's really hyped. He brings a lot of stuff out that is, a lot of people have a lot of interest in, and I think it's because Jay's got a really good reputation and has brought stuff out over the years that that a lot of people use in their working repertoire. So this is the second Sankey review show special. Now, I'm going to say the same thing at the beginning of this one as I did at the beginning of the first one, which is it is completely no frills when it comes to Jay Sankey's material. So when you order something from SankeyMagic.com, it's not like it's going to come in fancy packaging. This is not Penguin by any stretch of the imagination. It's going to come in a little see-through bag. That's it. The props are going to be shoved in a little see-through bag, and then there is a bit.ly link on the front in a sticker. The name of the trick and then a bit.ly link is there, and that bit.ly link will take you through to an unlisted YouTube video that will teach you everything that you need to know. When you go to the unlisted YouTube video, it is normally Jay in his kitchen or in some various room in his house. He's not got a camera crew. He's not even got a camera set up like this. He's literally opened his laptop up. So, if he needs to pan down to something, he drops his screen down, he lifts it back up again. It is very low quality in terms of, the general look of the product and that sort of thing. That doesn't affect the quality of the trick or the teaching, but it's something that you need to be aware of if you've never ordered from Sankey Magic before. You aren't going to have a really expensive looking thing come through the post. That's something to bear in mind. I'm not going to knock marks off Jay for that because it doesn't affect how good the trick is or isn't. It doesn't affect anything else, but it's something that maybe you guys should be aware of. So with that being said, I'm going to be looking at 4 new tricks from SankeyMagic.com, from Jay Sankey. These are all available from SankeyMagic.com, so you can go and buy them all from there. But the links will be in the description to them below, and they're all close-up tricks as well. So without further ado, let's have a look at the first project. Of course, it is a project. Let's have a look at the first project that I'm reviewing today. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to be looking at today is evidence. And evidence is basically a collection. You get a little black packet trick style wallet, and you get a whole bunch of photos. And these photos are slightly bigger than playing cards. And they're not on playing card stock, but they're on something similar to playing card stock. They look and feel like photos, but they're good quality. You can do card slides with them, right? And all these photos have something in common. They all have spoons on them. There's 3 types of photos. You have some photos that have just got a normal back, and they've got straight spoons on them. You've got some photos that have got normal backs, and they've got bent spoons on them. Then you've got some double faces that have got bent spoons on one side and straight spoons on the other. And then you have some, there's 4 actually, you have some photos that have nothing on them. They're all on a blue background. And there's a couple of photos that have nothing on them and it's just a blank blue background. And using these various different photos, Jay teaches you how to do a whole bunch of packet tricks and a whole bunch of routines, but applied to spoons instead. So, you can take a classic packet trick like Wildcard, and we'll get to that in a bit, but you can take a classic packet trick like Wildcard, and you can do it under the context of talking about spoons and about how, you've heard of Uri Geller and he can bend spoons. You can bend spoons as well, but you can actually bend photos of spoons. I know that sounds ridiculous, but let me prove that for you. So that's basically the concept of evidence. Now, there is a stack of material on this. I think the download was about just over an hour. And the first maybe 40 minutes or so are Jay teaching a whole bunch of different routines. And then after that, the last 20 minutes is Jay talking about a couple of ways that you can actually incorporate do tricks with spoons. So once you've, because his whole idea is you can start by doing something with a picture of a spoon, and then you can bring out a real spoon and you can start doing stuff with a real spoon. And he talks about how to bend a spoon on the offbeat. He talks about how to, there's a classic rubber band trick that Jay published years ago where you wrap an elastic band around a pencil and it comes off. He teaches that with a spoon. So there's a few bonus routines with spoons as well, which is nice. But obviously the main meat and bones of this whole project is what you can do with the photos. I'm going to show you a couple of different routines that you can do. Now, this first one here is the one that Jay says is his favorite routine. So this is Jay's favorite routine with the pictures and the spoons. I'm going to perform that for you so you can have a look at it. Let's look at that right now. Hey, Jack. So inside here, I've got pictures of spoons.
As you do.
As you do. But there's a reason for that. I want to prove to you that I can bend spoons just like Uri Geller. So I've got 3 pictures and I took them this morning before I left the house. And it looks like I've got a straight spoon, and a bent spoon. But in actual fact, it's slightly different. So I took this picture, right, and the spoon's straight, yes?
Yeah.
And then a couple of seconds later, I took this picture and it's slightly more bent.
Yeah.
And then I took this picture and it's completely bent.
Right.
So it's proof, really, that I can bend spoons.
I mean, is it though?
Well, it is. But obviously, you don't seem to believe me. So I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll take the bent spoon and I'll touch it next to this spoon that's already that's straight. And if I do this, I can bend that spoon as well.
Oh my God.
See, now both of these spoons are bent, which I think is pretty good. What do you reckon? But I mean, obviously, we've got this one. I could do this in your hand if you wanted me to. Don't worry about these. Watch, I could do this in your hand. We've bent these two, but I would put this in your hand and I'd snap my fingers. And when I did, this one would bend as well. And all 3 of those spoons would now be completely bent.
All right, take it back. You can do.
So that'll give you an idea. Now you've seen that, that'll give you an idea of what the project's all about, right? So it's all about bending spoons, and in that particular one, you've got 3 cards, and you've got 2 straight spoons and 1 bent spoon, and then eventually all the spoons bent. That's actually a really commercial routine. I really like the routine that I just showed you. I do like the premise that Jay set up for it, which is kind of telling the audience, you know what, I'm going to prove to you I can bend spoons. I took pictures of me bending spoons earlier on today. It's a very funny premise. I think that'll work really well in the real world. Obviously, you're left in a situation where not all the cards can be examined. There's one that can't because it's gaffed. Not really too much of an issue, I think, because the final spoon bends in the hands of the spectators and the focus will be there, but that's something that you need to be aware of. Having said that, on the project, there are lots of routines that Jay teaches that they can be examined afterwards. So, for example, and this is genius thinking by Jay, honestly, I think this is really clever thinking. This is classic Jay Sankey. He's got, he applies this whole concept to Bizarre Twist by Paul Harris. Now, anybody who's watched this channel knows that I love Bizarre Twist by Paul Harris. He's taken the Bizarre Twist concept and applied it to these cards. So he's got 3 regular cards. He can show the backs, he can show the fronts. They're all straight, and he just takes one of them. And you know what? I'll actually perform it for you. So let me show you this. This is his Bizarre Twist handling, and all of the cards are examinable at the end, which is really smart. So I've got a little wallet here, and inside the wallet, I have pictures of spoons. As you can see, I'm on a spoon fetish right now, Jack. We've got 3 pictures altogether, 3 pictures. Now, I went into my kitchen, and I took pictures of spoons. We're only going to use one of these spoons. This is spoon number 1, spoon number 2, spoon number 3. Which one would you like to use, 1, 2, or 3?
2.
2. That's the one in the middle right there, yeah? Are you sure? You're happy with that one?
Yep.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to take that spoon, and I'm going to put it in between the other 2 spoons like that. Can you see that?
Yep.
So it goes in between the other 2 spoons. And all I'm going to do is just twist, watch, like this. And do you know what happens when I twist?
Go on.
Well, that spoon stays straight, and that spoon stays straight, but the one that you picked right there in the middle bends just like that in between the others, and you, my friend, can examine everything. So there you go. I mean, I really love that. That's something I could see myself doing. I mean, the thing about the stuff on this is you could routine it all together, right? So you could start off with, for example, okay, so I mentioned earlier on, he does wildcard. He's got a 5-card handling with wildcard, although you've got the cards in the project to be able to do like a 7-card handling of wildcard if you wanted to. And he teaches a few different versions. He teaches the glide, he teaches a Hammond count, he teaches a few different things. Jay's really good at explaining. If you've ever watched a Jay Sankey project before, you'll know he's really good at explaining. And one thing I love, which is something I try to do as well, and I think I've been inspired by Jay Sankey to do this, he tries to present as much magic with a particular thing as possible. So it's not just, hey, here's a trick and that's it. He has a list of stuff that he goes through. And the wild card is a really smart idea. I mean, I obviously recently applied wildcard to music download cards in playlist. So I'm all for doing wildcard with something other than just cards. I think that absolutely makes sense. And Jay's thinking here is really sound, very, very sound. In fact, I don't normally perform 3 tricks off one project, but just because I like the wild card so much, I'm gonna do that for you as well. Let me just quickly show you the wild card. Jack, I've got a little wallet here, and inside the wallet I've got pictures. And these pictures are of spoons. What I did is I went into my kitchen earlier and I took pictures of spoons, 5 pictures altogether, because that's how I roll. That's spoon number 1, spoon number 2, spoon number 3, spoon number 4, spoon number 5. And if I turn them around this way, I want you to see that each of these spoons look straight. Do you know why they look straight, Jack?
Go on.
Because they are straight. It's very important that you know that. So 5 pictures of spoons. I'm going to get rid of the wallet. We don't need that. The only important thing are these. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put 1 spoon there, 1 spoon there. We'll put 1 spoon there. We'll put 1 spoon there, and that spoon goes there. So 5 spoons altogether. Right?
Right.
Now watch this. If I take this spoon and I do this, I can actually bend that spoon.
Oh?
Yeah, I bent the spoon.
Fascinating.
It's like the Matrix, there is no spoon. The weird thing is, if I take this bent spoon and touch it next to this straight spoon, what happens is that makes that straight spoon become bent as well. Now we've got 2 bent spoons. Let me do that one. You can see that that is clearly straight, can't you?
Yeah.
I mean, compared to these two have already bent. But if I just wave this near these two, the magnetic force of the 2 that have bent already causes this one to bend as well.
What?
Let's do this one. Look, if you were here, I would put this in your hand and you would do it yourself, proving that you have some sort of latent, weird psychic ability, just like Uri Geller. And the last one, you can see right up until the last second, these 4 have bent. This one is straight, but if I just do that, that one bends as well. And we have a situation where every single one of these spoons is now bent, proof that I am as good as Uri Geller. So there you go. That's the wild card. I got to be honest with you, and maybe it's just me. I really struggled doing the glide with these particular cards because of the photo stock, and because there's no border around the outside. When I was doing the wild card, it wasn't looking as good as doing a Hammond count. Now, maybe that's just me, but it's something to be aware of. Look, ultimately, this is a really good project. The one thing that I think is filler on here is I mentioned the 2 cards that are blank, that have no spoon on them. He talks about how you can produce a spoon off there, which is clever thinking. I do like the concept behind it, but every method he uses to produce a spoon is just really impractical. So he's got this idea where he's got the spoon behind his fingers and it's sticking out down under his arm, and he's got the card here, and it doesn't look great, to be perfectly honest. Now, that's not to say that you can come up with a method of making a spoon come out of a playing card. And his concept behind that is very smart, because he talks about you can do stuff with pictures of spoons, and then you can take one picture and you can do this and make a spoon come out of it, show that the thing's blank, and then go into a routine with a spoon, which really does make sense. But I think that there's better ways to do it than what Jay presented. I don't think he's presented very good ways of making a spoon appear. At least that's in my opinion. other than that, everything is really clever, everything is really sound, and I think if you're a restaurant worker, this is absolutely worth its weight in gold. I also think that if you bend metal, like I do liquid metal, which is a fork, which is different to a spoon, obviously, but I do like the idea, right? I do like the idea that this is how I'm planning on doing this. I'm gonna structure a routine together with these spoons, right? So I'm going to structure a routine together with these pictures of spoons. I'm going to do like a couple of routines together. And I'm going to finish off by taking a spoon out of my pocket, and it's going to be Axel Heckklaus spooning around. I'm going to turn that into a fork, put the fork away and say, actually, let me show you something with the fork. I'm going to do liquid metal and give them liquid metal as a souvenir. And I think that whole thing together would be a killer set. And I wouldn't have done that if I hadn't have learnt the Evidence Project. I think this is an amazing trick. And, you know, Jay only brings his stuff out through his own website. There's been no buzz about this on the Magic Cafe because it's not gone into Murphy's. But if this is a project that had gone in through Murphy's or Penguin, everybody would be talking about this. I think this is really good. This is Jay Sankey at his best. I'm going to give this 100%. It's highly recommended. You get a really good tutorial. You get all of the cards, you get the wallet, you get everything you need to be able to do it immediately. So there you go. That's the first review. It is Evidence by Jay Sankey. It is highly recommended. It is 100%. You can get it from sankeymagic.com. Okay, so the second trick from Jay Sankey is Zigzag. What is Zigzag? So Zigzag is a very weird trick. I mean, it's a very weird... I'll be honest, it's got a really nice visual. It has got a really nice visual, and he's structured it so it's all examinable at the end. It's just got a really weird premise. What you get is you get a few cards. And the reason you get a few cards is because if you perform this 20 or 30 times, the cards might wear out to the point that they don't look any good anymore. So you get a stack. I mean, when it came through the post, there was a load of them. So you get the cards are Queen of Hearts, and they're a Luxor playing card. And I think you get like 10 gimmicked cards and 10 regular cards. And what it basically allows you to do is do the classic zigzag lady illusion, but close up. That's basically what you're doing here. You're doing the classic zigzag lady illusion, but you're doing it close up, which sounds bonkers. So let me do a performance of it first of all, so you can see the idea, and then I'll go through what I think about it.
Hello.
Jack, I've got a particular card for this, because what you're about to see is not a trick, it's an illusion. It's an illusion using a playing card. And when you think illusions, you think Las Vegas, obviously. And this is a card from the Luxor Casino in Las Vegas.
Nice.
Now, Luxor is a big casino over there, and it's a Queen of Hearts. And I'll explain why I'm using a Queen of Hearts and why I'm using a card from the Luxor. The reason is very simple. When you think of illusion shows, you normally think of Las Vegas. Some of the biggest shows of all time took place in Las Vegas. Penn and Teller, Lance Burton, Siegfried and Roy, David Copperfield. The list goes on and on and on, right?
Yep.
So some of the best and biggest magicians of all time have actually had their start in Las Vegas. And rightfully or wrongly, it's normally a girl that gets inside the box, right? And then you saw her in half. Now, I know you've seen my show, so you've seen me saw people in half before and things like that. But have you ever heard of something called a zigzag lady?
Zigzag lady?
Yeah.
No.
It's a really crazy good illusion. I don't own one. Basically, the whole idea is you put a girl in the box, put a couple of blades through, and then you move her entire middle off to one side.
Oh.
And it looks crazy good. You've got a middle over there, you've got heads there, you've got legs there. Now, I've always wanted to do that, but I've never had the illusion. They have one at the Magic Circle headquarters in London, but I've got a feeling they wouldn't let me borrow it. So instead, I'm going to try and do this using the Queen, okay?
Yep.
I want you to watch. Don't blink. And remember, you could have examined this if you weren't behind the camera. I'm going to do this on 3. 1, 2, 3. And I can actually push that Queen's middle off to the side.
What?
Just like the zigzag illusion. And you can examine everything. There you go.
So do you see what I mean about a really strange visual? It is a really odd visual. It's also a really good hook. I love the hook, especially for me because I do illusion shows. So the whole idea of me talking about grand illusions really does make sense. So it's really clever in that regard. Now, the method at the beginning, I'll be honest, he teaches a few different ways of switching between the regular card and the gimmick card. And the way that he suggests doing it the best is a full view switch, his paperclip switch, but with a, what do you call them, a bulldog clip, which is fine. And there's no problem there, and that would work. As you saw in the live performance, I just did a shuttle pass, which tended to seem to work better for me, just doing a shuttle pass. But Jay goes through 3 or 4 different methods of doing that. The point is, you're handing a regular card out at the beginning to examine, and then you're switching it. The nice thing about the bulldog clip is you can put the bulldog clip away, and obviously it gives you a reason to go into your pocket. And then the whole idea is, you open it up and you show it and you do that moment and you hand it out. And the visual does look great. I'll be honest, I don't know whether I'm going to do this. And I don't know why. I don't hate this. In fact, I actually quite like it. And when I first saw Jay do it and he pushed that middle out, I was like, wow, that's cool. And it fooled me. I thought it was like some sort of weird flappy thing or something like that. And it's not. It's, as soon as you do that, it's immediately examinable. It's very clever thinking by Jay, and he's created this particular type of fold in order to allow you to, once you've done the switch, open up the card and it still looks like a normal card and you can go straight into the thing. It's really good. I just don't think I'm going to do it myself. That's not to say that I don't think it's a commercial routine. It's just that not everything can work for everybody, right? I think if I was going to make this my own, I'd want it to be a little bit longer. I think for the amount of setup that you'd have to give it and the amount of presentation you'd have to give it, it's one very quick moment of magic. And although it's a really good quick moment of magic and it's really visual, I think I prefer a longer thought out routine. Now, maybe I can come up with something to do with that. Like maybe if I got one of those old Zigzag card things that you got as a kid, and that might be an interesting premise, and I rebuilt that so it was out of the Luxor card. And you talk about, I had these as a kid because I really wanted to be an illusionist. Look, you can put it in here and you can move the middle over and then you can pull it back. Isn't that amazing? Obviously, the magic's in this little piece of plastic here. That's how it works. But maybe switch. Maybe I could do that with without using the piece of plastic. I don't know. There's ways of maybe routining it, and I might, if I have time, look at that. But as it stands at the moment, although it's a really good trick, although it's got an interesting hook, although it's got an interesting visual, I'm not going to particularly do it. I don't think this is going to find a way into my act, unlike Evidence, which I think is definitely going straight into my act. So I'm going to give it 79%, which is the highest grade I can give it if I'm not going to do it. And I am going to say, although it's only getting 79%, I don't want you guys to think that this is not a good trick. It is a really good trick. It is really smart. And as with normal with Jay Sankey, he's routined everything together in a really smart, clever way. It's just, I don't think... Jay's made a rod for his own back. He's brought out so much amazing magic. I'm kind of comparing this to other stuff I do from Jay Sankey, and this just isn't as good as some of the other stuff I do. So 79%. If you saw the performance and you like the idea of pushing the middle out of a card and you think that has a place in your act, then get it. You won't be disappointed. So the next trick that I'm going to review is, I remember Jay doing a version of this on a DVD years ago, but it was a much shorter version of this with a full deck. So he did it with a full deck, and it wasn't as good as what it is now. What he's done is he's taken that concept and he's added it to it. He's routined a whole bunch of stuff together, and he's created a real powerhouse of a routine. Now, I'm going to present this in a minute. I'm going to perform this to you as a standalone trick. What you have here, just so you're aware of what the situation is, you have a deck that you're supplied with everything that you need to be able to make it. You'll have to add a regular deck into the mix, and it takes about maybe 5 minutes to put all this together. But you're supplied with all of the gaffs and everything that you need. But you've got a deck here, and half of the deck is gimmicked. Okay, the audience is not going to be aware that it's gimmicked. Half of the deck is gimmicked. Now, the reason I'm telling you this is because I'm presenting this as a standalone trick. So I'm bringing the deck out, I'm showing it front and back, and I'm going into the routine. How Jay suggests you do this is you've been using a regular deck for whatever routines you want to do. Maybe you've just done a 47 phase ambitious card routine or something. And you do this as a finale to that routine. And I do think this would make a very good finale. And you'll see why in the presentation in a minute when I perform it for you. But I think this would make a very good finale. So because half of the deck is regular and half the deck is gimmicked, it's very easy to switch that half a deck out. And Jay has a really nice way of being able to switch the half a deck out just by going into your pocket for something else that's totally justified. So you can do this at your end of your card set and end up with like a really killer routine. But you can, and Jay talks about this, you can also do this as a standalone trick as well. And just by taking the cards out of the case, go into it as a standalone trick. I'm going to present it to Matt now as a standalone trick so you can kind of see what it's meant to look like. And it is really good. And then I'll talk about what I think.
I'm here with Matt. How you doing, Matt?
Hello, dude. You alright?
I'm good. Are you?
I'm alright.
Quick card trick. And also a little cloth. You want to check the cloth out, make sure it's okay. Make sure there's nothing weird about it. Is it all right?
Yeah.
Good stuff. And I also have this deck of cards. Okay. 52 cards, 52 possibilities. Now, I'm going to do something absolutely impossible here. Look at that, made in China. I'm going to do something absolute, nothing but quality magic from sankeymagic.com. I'm going to do something with a deck of cards, right?
Okay.
And we're going to have 2 cards picked. I'm going to split the deck, I don't know, about half. It doesn't have to be exact, but roughly about halfway. About halfway, yeah? 2 halves of the cards. And we're going to have 2 cards picked, all right? One from this half, one from this half. We're going to start with this half, and you can have any card you want to. So I'm going to spread through, take the card, any card that you want. Show the camera, do not show me. It's very important. Okay, and when you've done that, just say stop.
Stop.
Put the card back there. And just in case the camera missed it, that's the card. Can you see it there?
Yep.
And we're going to, if I leave it there, how many cards down would you say that is roughly?
12.
Push it in yourself. I'm not going to manipulate it. Is that fair?
Yes.
So I'm going to leave that one there because I'm going to find both cards in a very odd, different way. This one, we're going to go for a completely different thing. Look, I'm going to take the deck. I'm going to take the handkerchief and I'm going to cover the deck up with the handkerchief like that, right? And what I want you to do is reach over and cut about half the cards to about there. Is that fair? Yeah. And I'm going to give you a peek at this card. So can you have a look at that card?
Yeah.
You got it there, Jack?
Yep.
Cool. And I'm going to leave that underneath here. And we're going to wrap the whole deck up, leaving it in the middle. Is that fair?
Yeah.
You can put your finger on there. So I'm going to find both cards in a very different way. First of all, you picked a card in this deck, right?
I did.
I'm going to, without manipulating the cards, without touching them, I'm going to make one card turn face up in that deck. And that's going to be your card.
Okay.
I don't even know the name of the card. I don't need to know. I just snap my fingers. And when I do, one card turns face up in the middle. And that's the Queen of Clubs. Was that your card?
That was my card.
Now, there's the thing with magic. Each time you do a trick, it needs to build. So I have to make that more impressive. So if I could make that card turn over in the deck, that's anticlimactic because I've already done it there. So I'll go further. I'll make the card turn over in the deck, but I'll do something even more amazing.
Okay.
Done. Lift up your finger. Because now the card has turned over in the deck. It's the only one turned over in the deck. But I also made every single card in that pack completely turn blank, other than your card.
No.
Because now, look at this. All of these cards are blank except for one card right there in the middle. That's the 9 of clubs. All of these cards are blank. Every single card, the faces and the backs of every card has completely disappeared, leaving just one card, the card you picked, the 9 of clubs, and you can examine everything.
So there you go. So that's the routine. Now this is clever. This is really clever. As I say, it's you obviously need a handkerchief with you. That is provided by Jay. All of the gaffs are provided by Jay. It's a very clear instruction. Unlike a lot of the stuff that Jay does, there's not like millions of handlings. But I understand why. This is one particular routine, right? One thing that I will say is, so if you go back and look at the performance again, you divide the deck into 2 halves. Perfect. The first half, you have somebody pick a card and that card is ultimately going to get reversed in the deck, right? Now, Jay teaches a couple of different ways to do that. He teaches Marlowe's center reverse, where you show a card and you side jog it, clip it with your fingers and flip it over in the middle of the deck. He teaches a more self-working way to do that. He teaches 3 or 4 ways to get that card flipped over in the middle of that packet, right? Which is nice, because I love the fact that Jay has lots of options when it comes to doing this sort of stuff. I, however, just so you're aware, I used a version of my own that just something I felt more comfortable with. So when I was performing it, the way that I reversed the card in the pack there was not taught on Jay's project. That's something that was in my routine Reversey, which is going to be on Netrix when it launches. And I published it years ago on the Parlor project. So it's kind of this way of out-jogging a card, having them push it in, and it reverses in the middle. I want you to be aware of that. I don't want you to see that performance and think, hey, that's not on it if you buy the trick. But Jay teaches lots of different ways to basically do the same thing. But yeah, I mean, so what you have here really is a great way to end a card routine. So you've done whatever card tricks that you want to do, and then you said, well, let me do one last thing. We've got 2 packets. Can you pick a card? Brilliant, we'll put that there. You don't need a table. You can have them hold it between their hands. Absolutely fine. And that's the beautiful thing about this. This is super commercial. No table required. No angle issues to speak of. Easy to do. It can be a regular deck from the beginning if you follow Jay's advice. Everything's examinable at the end. It's a really crazy visual, and it's a great final piece, because with the second deck, you know, you get them to cut to a card, you show them the card, you can have them hold on to that handkerchief. First of all, the card turns over, then the card turns over in this deck, and the entire deck turns blank. I mean, wow. And they can examine that. I mean, you can't go any further than that. The deck's blank. That's incredible. One thing I did think about doing, and I didn't do this on the project, it was just a thought in the back of my head, is once you've shown that that card has turned over in this deck, you have all of the time in the world while you focus attention over there. If you have them open up the handkerchief themselves, you have all the time in the world to take this packet over here and switch this for a blank pack of cards, half a blank pack of cards, just in the pocket. And you could just, you know, they won't know it's switched, because you'd still have their card on top of the deck. So you could then do like maybe a pass or something, like a midnight shift. And you could show that once those cards have done blank, those cards have turned blank, except for the 2 cards. So there is a way to actually go even further than that if you want the entire deck to turn blank. This is brilliant. I love this. This is another trick that shows the genius that is Jay Sankey. I love the concept of the cards turning blank underneath the handkerchief. It feels very hands-off. As I say, I've seen Jay do this before, but he's now expanded it into a full routine and provided all the props to be able to do this. I just think this is really smart thinking. I think this is a very clever routine, and I'm going to actually work this. I'm going to give this a shot and see what I think. I think it's going to go really well. So you saw the reactions that Matt gave. It's a really good trick. I'm going to give this 97%. I think it's highly recommended, and I think that anybody who buys it won't be disappointed. If you want a really commercial routine that you can put into your close-up work, that's very easy to do and you'll be able to get it almost immediately, then check it out. It's well worth buying. So the final trick today that we're going to be looking at is probably the latest trick that's come out through Jay Sankey, and this is one that created a buzz on the Magic Cafe. This is a killer prediction. And the trailer was debated quite heavily on the Magic Cafe for various different reasons. And the trick in question is, if you look at the trailer, and I tend not to look at trailers very often, but I did look at the trailer to this one. If you look at the trailer, the whole idea behind the trailer is that you have somebody apparently name a card. So you take a card and you draw something on it, you put it into the card box. That's what it's shown on the trailer. And then you have somebody think of a card, and then immediately you open up the card box and the card's inside the card box. That's basically what the trailer shows. And then it shows how you can repeat it with a different card and a whole bunch of different stuff. I'm not going to say the trailer's misleading, because it's not. But I don't think it's as clean as the trailer makes you believe that it is. And let me explain why. So first of all, the main method that Jay teaches you for this, the first step, so he teaches you how to gaff the deck up, because you've got half a gaff deck with this. So half the cards are gaffed, right? and you have to prepare them. It probably takes about an hour to prepare the cards. Once they're prepared, they're prepared. And the first thing that Jay teaches you is a method to do it without even using a card box. So he takes the deck, he spreads it out face up, he spreads it out face down, he draws a prediction, he puts the prediction down on the table. He then has somebody think of a card, they think of a card, and he openly puts that card on the face of the deck. He then takes the prediction, turns it over, and he's drawn the card that they name on the face of the deck. Now, if you saw Jay perform that in a trailer, you would immediately know what's going on, and nobody would be talking about it on the Magic Cafe. The reason it's being talked about on the Magic Cafe is because of this box handling. And Jay has about 3 or 4 ways of actually getting the card into the box. He openly says on the project that he doesn't really use the box thing very often, and he normally uses the spread deck and the way that I just showed it to you. I think the box thing is fine. The way that he teaches, first of all, is just, I don't think that would work. So the way he teaches you, first of all, is by openly cutting the card to the face and palming that card off as you turn the deck over, and then doing a card-to-card box load. I really don't, sort of Matt Shulin thing. I really don't think that'll work. I think, well, I can't say that because I've never done it, but I just don't see that that's the cleanest way of achieving the effect that Jay wants to achieve here. The best way to do it is what he calls the no palm method, which is probably the cleanest way to do the effect that Jay is wanting to portray here. Let me show you that. Okay, so I'm going to show you that, right? So let me do that for you now. So I'm going to show you the no palm method. Let me do a performance of that, and you'll get an idea of what I mean.
Hey, Matt, I'm going to show you a trick with a pack of playing cards. 52 cards. More importantly, 52 possibilities. Now, before I do anything, I'm going to make a prediction. I have a card here that's blank on both sides, and I'm going to write something on there. Well, actually, half write, half draw. I should point out at this point that I am possibly the worst artist in the world. And I have handwriting that looks similar to a 3-year-old. But I'm hoping that you'll get the idea of what this is. So I'm going to pop that away inside the card box. Nothing inside there. You can check it out to make sure.
Yeah.
Take your time. You get paid by the hour. Is that okay? It goes right in there, yes?
Yeah.
Is that cool? So my prediction is placed away from the very, very beginning, just like that. Okay?
It is in there.
It is in there. And now you get to pick a card. So as I spread through, if you see a card that you like, just say it out loud.
Say it out loud.
Yeah, go for it.
4 of diamonds.
Do you want to change your mind, or are you happy with the 4?
Are we good, Jack?
You good with the 4?
Your choice, mate.
Yeah, we're good.
Because you could have gone for the 7. You could have gone for the. I mean, it was a completely free choice, right?
Yeah.
But you went. What was it again? It was the 4 of
4 of
diamonds.
diamonds.
And that was a free choice.
It was.
And it wasn't like I made you pick that card, because I spread through and I said, take the one that you like the look of, right?
Yeah.
And do you remember, from the very beginning, we put a card right here inside this card box. Do you remember that, Jack?
I do, yeah.
It's been in here the very beginning. Let me just reach in and take it out, because I did a drawing of the 4 of diamonds. I think that's a pretty good drawing. You could have picked any card. I mean, it's not the best, but I mean, 4 of diamonds, 4. I tried my best, is what I'm trying to say.
It's definitely 4 of diamonds.
4 of diamonds, yeah, I'll put that in there, and maybe you won't know the difference, right? It's there. There you go. That's the...
That's sick.
That's the trick.
Okay, so that is sort of the no palm method of using the box. And the nice thing is the box can be examined at the beginning. The deck can't be examined, but the box can. You make the prediction, you put it into the box, you put the box to one side, you have them name a card, you then take the card box, you reach in and you take the card out. Even then, I think that it's slightly flawed, and I'll tell you why I think it's slightly flawed. I think it's slightly flawed for a couple of reasons. The first reason is you're left, the card box can't be examined because there's something that's left inside the card box that you can't take out. So the card box can't be examined. And also, I think if you're making a deal of putting a card into a box as a prediction, and Jay does tell you to make a big deal of it. He says, examine the card box, because later on they can't examine the card box. So he tells you to make a big deal of having the card box examined. And then you put the prediction in there, you put it to one side, that's to isolate it. If you're going to make a big deal of isolating that card in the card box. I think it's an issue that the card box can't be examined afterwards. I also think that however you're going to get that card to the card box, whether it's palming it off or whether it's using the no palm method or one of the other methods that Jay talks about, I think that you can't bring the deck near the box at that point. I really don't. I think there's an issue there from a routining point of view. I think it would be much better if... maybe that wouldn't be a problem if the fact that the card box can't be examined and that there's something else inside there. I think that's the main issue. So maybe Jay's right. Maybe the first method is best when there's no box involved. But the problem with that method is nothing can be examined. I think if I was going to do this personally, and I'm not going to do this, not that I don't think it's a good effect. I think the effect is good. I just think that I don't want to say it's been rushed to market, because I don't think it has been rushed to market, because it's an hour and a half tutorial where Jay's going through absolutely everything with a fine-tooth comb. However, I think that if Jay had worked it for a few more months, I think he would have come up with a better solution to this. I think it's almost there, but it's not quite there. I think if I was going to do this right now, I'd write the prediction and I'd put it into a card to wallet. And then I'd put the card to wallet away and I'd isolate it inside the card to wallet. I'd then do the handling where you palm a card and I'd go back into the wallet and then I'd unzip it and open it and I'd show the prediction. I think that's probably the way that I'd do it. I think that would be the way that I would do it, because then there's no heat on the wallet, because as I put the wallet away, I can ditch the card that went in there in the first place very, very easily. I don't know. I just think it's a lot to go to predict a card. Ultimately, what we have here is we have the prediction of a playing card. A card is thought of, and you are predicting the card that they are thinking of, right? And it's quite a convoluted mess of a way to predict a card. I can think of about 20 or 30 ways of predicting a card that would work better for a layperson. I do like the concept of how he's gaffed the deck. I do think that makes sense, although I think he could have taken that to the next level a little bit, and there's more that he could have done with that. Based on routines that he's actually brought out before, I think there's more he could have done with that. But having said that, I do think the gaffing of the deck is smart. I also think that only half the deck being gaffed is smart, because it means that you've got half the deck that are regular, so you've got really clean displays. I think that's really clever as well. I think there's a lot to like about this, but I just think it's too convoluted in order to basically get the prediction of a playing card. I think that it should have been a little bit more thought out. He's also got a bonus routine on there where you can do it again. So you can have two people think of cards, and you can almost do a repeat where you've predicted one, then you can repeat, and then you can predict another one. And again, that's a clever idea. It is a clever idea, but again, you're left in a situation where the card box can't be examined. With all of these, the card box can't be examined. I think that's my big problem with it. I think that really people are going to want to look at the card box. Now, I might be wrong. I might go and do this. And you saw the performance and the reaction to Matt. Matt didn't suspect the card box at all. So maybe I'm gilding the lily here. Maybe I'm creating an issue where there's no issue. I don't know. And maybe this is the perfect trick for me to do in a review show revisited, so I can try it out in the real world. But my every instinct and my experience suggests that this isn't the best way to do this plot. And if I want to predict a playing card, there's other ways that I could do it that are better, if that kind of makes sense. So yeah, I mean, you saw the performance. If you like what you just saw me do, this project teaches you how to do that, and teaches you a whole bunch of methods on how you can do that. Ultimately, if you go up to a layman and you take a Svengali deck, right, and you just write down a prediction for real, write down a prediction and give it them, and then you use a Svengali deck and you dribble down and you say, you want to stop there? Yeah, have a look at that. That's ultimately just as good as what we're seeing here. but it's just as clean, and you've still got a gaff deck. You've got a gaff deck with J's. I think there's more that could have happened with this project. So I'm going to give this 69%. 69%. I think it's good. I think if you like the performance, it's good. But I don't think it's completely finished. I think that the person who buys it needs to put a little bit more work in. But maybe that's just me. I will be doing this on a review show revisited, and there's a very good chance I might change my mind. I mean, at the end of the day, Jay's been doing this a hell of a lot longer than I have. So maybe I'm wrong and he's right. We'll find out. So there you go, guys. That is another review show revisited in the bag, as Ryland would say. Thank you once again for joining me right here on Magic TV. And thank you for checking out this review show revisited. I'd like you to do me a favour. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. Do you like it? Do you not like it? I would love to know. What's your favourite trick? Do you own any of these tricks? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Inquiring minds want to know. Also, don't forget, if you want to see more videos like this, all you got to do is like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment down below. Please subscribe. It helps. And I'm going to be back again tomorrow with 3 videos. I'm going to have shorts at 2, I'm going to have a live at 6, and at 9 o'clock, I'm going to be here with a 5x5. So there's a lot happening this week. Thanks once again for joining me. I will see you again soon. My name's Craig from Magic TV.